Good afternoon, everybody! Welcome to another edition of the Gare Bear Review. Yes, today we're going over a sequel because it is going to be Ted 2. In case you haven't noticed, the giant talking bear behind me. And yes, he does talk, but I didn't put batteries in him, so you're not going to hear him say phrases. But you already know the phrases because you've already seen the movie. You've already know the sequel is coming out. You've been here. You've done that. It is now time to get over it and see where it relies in the movie world. Now, where does it rely in the movie world? Well, Ted, it's a sequel, obviously. So we're going back to Boston. We're going to Mark Wahlberg to see how him and Mila Kunis' character's relationship held up. Are they still, how's their marriage? How is Ted dealing with his marriage? Apparently this is what this movie is about. It's about his marriage. Now we sort of get a couple of we get a couple questions answered. I would actually probably say more than what you'd figure, and we also get more questions instead of answers because, well, it's a sequel, so it has to be the sequel to this. It's kind of interesting the way they did it because there's a new female lead. There's a new story. The Most of the characters are back, except for Mila Kunis' character, and yes, Donnie is back. Can't think of his name like off the top of my head, but he's back. But also, what did bring me back to this movie? It brought me back because I love Seth MacFarlane. I love what he does. I love his comedy. Despite of what people may think of him, he's actually a really great writer, and that's what happens. When you're a great writer, you get stuff like this. You get to direct your own movie, and you get to write your own script, shit like that. But also, bringing back most of the cast was actually really cool, and then adding in a few tidbits here and there. Now the thing is, you had Wahlberg, obviously, because he's the main character. You had Seth MacFarlane, who plays Ted, but the replacement for Mila Kunis' character was Amanda Seyfried. Now I say replacement because, well, that's what she basically is and does in this movie. They explain it in the beginning of the movie where apparently he wasted all his time, that whole entire movie, trying to get her back at least 4 times, and yet didn't ended up divorced. Now, in the sequel, it's Ted's turn. Ted gets married to Jessica Barth's character, Tammy Lynn, which is interesting because he's a bear. She's a hot blonde. He's a bear. Just saying. But it ends up, it's kind of interesting. But it's not actually technically about him getting married. It takes more of a political turn where, is Ted a person? Now, obviously, he's a bear, but it's more of the line, is he a living thing versus a child plaything? And yes, I used the Toy Story line on that one. But yes, is he or is he not a child's plaything? Now, it's actually funny because they do go through a couple court cases. They bring in Giovanni Ribisi. They obviously bring, like I said, Jessica Barth. They also bring back Sam Jones, The Flash, Patrick Warburton, who was hilarious and stole every scene that he was in. And a little surprise on his new boyfriend because it is not Ryan Reynolds again. It is a surprise, and if you get the reference that they do at Comic-Con, yes, they go to Comic-Con. I don't know what year, but they do go. It was actually, and they go to New York. So whoever was there that year, it's hilarious. It was probably around 2013, maybe 14. But it was funny to see them there. And then you had John Carroll Lynch who came in, and I'm not going to even tell you, but a funny man who gets taken for something else. I'm just going to leave it at that. It was kind of awesome seeing him in a movie like this, considering he was in another movie that Seth MacFarlane did. It was right after Ted, and you probably saw it as well. If you like Seth MacFarlane, you're definitely going to like this movie. That's pretty much where it boils down to. His comedy writing is amazing. The comedic acting timing is fantastic, And who doesn't love a giant foul mouth talking bear? Who doesn't? I forgot to add pot smoking, but that's pretty much where it boils down to. See this movie because you want to watch it, because you want a good laugh. See this movie because you love Seth MacFarlane's comedy and his other stuff. Do not see this because you want to see how bad it is, or you want to find that little tidbit that it is because it's bad. Movies should be revived on its own, because reviewed on its own, because of the fans that it has. People look at Firefly. Now I know that's hitting a hard chord with a lot of us, especially myself. Firefly was a great show. Joss Whedon put his pretty much his heart into it and his soul into that one. Just like Buffy and just like Dollhouse. Again, another heartstring that triggers. But he keeps giving fans people. He makes fandoms for people that people come together, and that's what Seth MacFarlane does. Despite on what people think, he brings people together because of his comedy is hilarious. Despite it being pot smoking and foul mouth, that's his comedy. That's his style. That's what happens. That's why Alex Borstein joined on, because she's one of those people that on Mad TV was one of those types of characters that Seth MacFarlane wrote Lois for her, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the actual deal. But I'm telling you right now, go check this out. Ted 2. It's probably still in theaters by this time. By the time this gets updated and stuff, but I'm telling you right now, check this out. You will not. It's definitely worthy of your pay, of viewing, of a watching. What's also view of what's also worth a viewing is our whole entire channel. Make sure you guys do keep doing that. So subscribe to our channel, share the channel, like the channel, like this video, share this video, whatever you want to do. Also, stay tuned for our next adventure, because we're gonna hang with our friends in the gallows. Get it? Cause hanging, it's funny. Bye.